This takes me to the fourth P, passion. And the question I want to ask you tonight, are you committed to your gift? I don't know anything that tests commitment than mountaineering. You see, last week, Wednesday, we walked some 9 kilometers to Old Moses, 3,300 meters above the sea level. Then on Thursday, we walked for 16 kilometers. Please understand, we are not walking on the treadmill. This is walking Mount Kenya. 16 kilometers. 4,200 meters, Shipton camp. Some of us started losing our breath. I lost my breath, but I couldn't confess. I purposed to confess after we get down. There's no way I could admit that. What did you expect of the team? I struggled with breathing for 2 nights. I couldn't sleep. And one of us actually could not continue because of altitude sickness. Then our guides were very brilliant people, very good guys. They woke us up very early, 2 in the morning. So at 3 o'clock, we began summiting. It was very dark. We could barely see more than 2 meters. At some point, Mercy and Purity, who were seated together here, could not make 10 steps. At some point, Mercy was breathing like a horse ready for war. And guess what? Oxyhemoglobin levels plummeted dramatically. The temperature went below 0 at the Celsius scale. I couldn't feel my fingers. But how do I tell her? And she's unable to walk. Keep encouraging her. When I knew deep down my heart there's a secret, I need encouragement. One step after the other. Long story short, the beauty of the whole journey for me, one was seeing the sunrise, and secondly was seeing the clouds beneath me. It was so emotive that 4 out of the team that went up there, 4 out of 9, literally cried tears. It was such an emotive moment. But here's the deal. The guides chose us to walk at night for 2 reasons. One, they wanted us to see the sunrise. But more importantly, they did not want us to see the journey because it was near vertical. And they knew if we saw where we were climbing, we will stop. It was near vertical. So they knew the only way out is to ensure these guys climb at night so that they only see one step. And here are the lessons I learned when we were leaving home. As many women do, Mercy packed her bag, her hand luggage, a lot of stuff. I don't know why women carry heavy things in their bags. heavy things. But believe me, when we began summiting, she only carried her water only. They couldn't carry anything else. Somehow, you've got to keep your baggage down when you start summiting. You've got to lay down unnecessary weight. You see, while motivation gets you going, commitment keeps you going. Commitment is not a word. Commitment is an act. I'll say it again. A shared commitment is a strong commitment. Perhaps if you have been following me on social media, you realize in January, I posted an article, we are climbing Mount Kenya. In retrospect, what that meant is that I was telling you to hold me accountable for that commitment. And I want you to apply it in your personal life. Every time you share a commitment, it becomes a binding commitment. It becomes a strong commitment. And so let me just make one right now. February next year, we are climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Now, we are doing it, by the way. That's true. The team of 10. By the way, don't join our team until you do Kenya. Don't. No, it's a process. We are not admitting people who are Matiangi grades. You've got to go through every grade. We have resolved as a team, we are going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And here's the deal. One of the reasons I'm saying it openly, and I'm trying to impress this on you, every time you make a commitment public, it commits you. You may not announce it on public where I'm announcing, but tell 3-4 people, this is what you want to achieve this year. I repeat, a shared commitment is a strong commitment. Commitment is going all the way to the summit. We didn't go because we felt like. There's nothing romantic about climbing that mountain. Believe me, it tested everything about who we are. But here's the deal. While talents will win you the game, commitment will keep you in the field to make you go back there again. Commitment is going all the way. It is saying like Queen Esther when she decided to approach King Ahasuerus. Some versions call him Xerxes, who ruled the entire Medo-Persian all the way to India, all the way to Ethiopia. He was a demigod. Seeing him without his clearance risked death. But she said, look, I can't watch my people being annihilated by Haman and his evil scheme. I will petition on their behalf. If I perish, let me perish. That's commitment. In fact, in her mind, she was long dead. I'm seeing the king. My life is no more worthy than the lives of all these people whose lives is at risk. I'm going all the way. While probability will get you to reason, commitment will get you to certainty. Lack of commitment, you resort to excuses. You resort to stories. We could have done it, but my mother-in-law. You could have done it, but you see, my wife, she's bewitched. We could have done it, but you know the politics of the day. We could have done it, but you see the January targets. Failure to commit, you resort to excuses. The art, painting, sculpture, and architecture of Michelangelo make people tear. The man died 1564. Can you append your signature against your work? I write articles primarily for mass consumption. And I sign my name there every time. They're not mine. I don't write to myself. The only thing I would request you, don't delete my name. Some of these articles bounce back to me, and somebody has deliberately removed my name. That's the only thing I would ask you. Why am I asking you not to remove my name? Because I'm proud to be associated with every article I release. And that's what I'm asking you. Are you proud of your work? Don't release it until it's world class. The world will never buy anything except world class. The world doesn't respect number 2, and I'm going to prove to you just now. For a price of 1,000 bob. Let me now see out Kenya people. They are only attracted by money. No. Let me test whether they are here. For 1,000 bob, right now, any of you who can tell me the name of the vice president of Zambia? Money for you here. Money for you here. Money. Her Excellency Wina Inonge. A woman. And here's the deal. If I asked you the president of Zambia, chances are 50% could have given me the answer. But the odds are very high. 50% of you cannot even tell me the vice president of the US or even of Russia. But 100% of you know the president. The world pays for the very best. Let me try one more. For 1,000 bob, tell me the silver medalist, 800 meters, 2012 Olympics. No, it's not Kenyan. By the way, to help you with the answer, the first one was David Rudisha. He was the gold medalist. I'm looking for the silver medalist. That's the Kenyan you're talking about. The silver medalist. Money. Of course, I didn't expect you to get. I'm not in the business of dishing money. I definitely asked the question you can't answer. He's a Botswanan guy by the name Amos Nijo. But here's the point. The world doesn't pay for anything except the very best. Now, I need to qualify that statement. I am not suggesting we introduce unnecessary and unhealthy competition. No. I'm not even suggesting you become number 1 in politics or athletics. I'm only suggesting outperform your previous self. Don't release it to the world when it's your number 2. Release it when it's your number 1. That's what I'm saying. It's not about the others. It's about you knowing that this is my very best. Why am I saying that? One song can make you a millionaire. One book can make you dine with the president. One innovation can take you to the billionaire club. I'm not a fan of pop music, but I want everyone here to know that I study success from good and not very good people. My business is studying success. I'm in the business of content development and delivery. And the greatest album of all times was done by the pop singer, the late Michael Jackson. Quincy Jones, the producer, had this to say. It took them 2 years to do that one album alone, working 24/7, 7 days a week. When they released it to the open market, 100 million copies sold. $140 million earned posthumous after he died the year 2009. If you can make that money when you're dead, you're doing well. One song can make a huge difference. What's the secret? It is not the person you saw performing on the stage. It is what was happening behind the scenes. And here's the challenge. Are you committed to that extent that when you're releasing it, you're sure there was nothing left that you could have done that you did not do? You gave it your all. Commitment is not tested in a forum like this. Commitment is tested during tough times. Commitment is tested when everybody leaves you. If you're listening to me tonight and you're gifted, I'm not bothered that you're going to succeed. I am concerned you're going to fail from time to time. What are you going to do when you make very serious personal blunders? Remember this, when you're gifted, you're in the public limelight. The public does not give you a chance to process in privacy. They share your stories, they rip you off. All your privacy is put in the public domain. You're not given time to process. What will you do when the biggest blunders happen to you and you're carrying a gift? I have this to tell you. You might want to buy this tape when it's out and keep it for yourself. Don't let your personal blunders stop you. Don't let your personal blunders stop you. But more importantly, do not let them define you. I know it's very hard for many of you to believe I have ever called for meetings and people don't turn up. Many of you, when you interacted with me, you met people turning up for meetings. But let me tell you this. I have called meetings and nobody turned up. Mase knows what I'm saying, and so does the Rastas. But there's one thing they can tell you, and anyone who knows me, that never defined me. In fact, I've ever invited people for dinner, paid at an expensive place, Witsa, paid for dinner for 40 people, and I only got 2, and I paid for it. And I gave them the message without censoring it, with enthusiasm, with all the energy, with all the power, as though the 40 of them turned up. And that's what I'm calling commitment. Let me remind you this. When we started Sense on One Life Club, I paid Lyco Regency for 6 months in a row without knowing whether anyone will come. That's commitment. And now I'm telling you right now, I'm inviting you for a meeting in KICC. I have already paid $290,000 for you to attend there for free, because I believe in what I'm doing. So the question is not when people are celebrating you. The question is, what happens when everything fails? Will you still stand? Will you still deliver that message to the 2 who turns up? That's the question. And when I called that dinner, these 2 people together with me were there. They know what I'm saying. They're eyewitnesses. You can ask them after this meeting. But they can also tell you this. I spoke for 2 hours non-stop, just as I had promised the 40. Here's the deal. What happens when you fail? Not when you're being celebrated. That's where your commitment comes. Oh, Doc, but they're going to laugh at me. What are they going to say about me? Listen, when you do something, you'll be criticized. When you don't do it, you'll be criticized. Do it anyhow. Nothing comes out right the first time. I registered my company for public speaking, Shape Africa, as a business the year 2002. I'll tell you this, I've spoken for many years. But just early this week, I was listening to my recordings of 3 years ago. And I was very surprised. The last 6 months, I am more composed than I was just 3 years ago. And chances are, I'll be watching what I'm speaking to you today in 5 years' time and get shocked. Why? It's called growth. It doesn't get out well the first time. So you've got to do it anyhow. Don't wait for everyone to celebrate you. Just get going. If you are called to sing, just start singing. If you're called to be an engineer and to fix and you're coming up with discoveries, we don't have to continually bring things from China. Just do it. It won't come out well for the first time. Stop quoting Edison's 1,000 experiments and start doing your experiments. Start doing them. You know the story of Edison. When will we know your story? Just start doing it. Because the innovations are hidden within us here. Open your clinic. There are no customers who live in your bedroom. They are waiting for you to open the shop. Just open it and give it a broad smile. Number 5, P number 5, price. Price. I want to share with you 3 thoughts at a gift price. And the first one, I want to talk about character. Character. Scripture teaches, to the one much is given, much is required. You are expected, when you're gifted, to live by a higher ideal. Your celebrators expect you to live by a higher standard. God expects you to live by a higher standard. Character is the ability to carry out a good resolution long after the emotion of the moment is past. The ability to carry out a good resolution long after the emotion in which that decision was made is long gone. Now, character is not something given to us. It's not like gifts. Gifts are favors given to us. Character, we've got to determine to build it ourselves piecemeal. Like putting up a building. You build it block by block. It can take you 10 years and just 5 minutes to ruin it. What you see with the visible eye, I call it reputation. The real foundation that holds that infrastructure, I call it character. And you should be concerned with both. You should be concerned both with your reputation and also your character. The most hilarious story I've ever read of character is Billy Graham. I'm a great admirer of him. And since he knew he was regarded as America's pastor, to ensure that his reputation was not at stake at any given moment, every time he went to a new city and he checked into a hotel room, before he could go to his room, he would send his male staff to go to the room where he is going to sleep. And they check under the bed and they check in the wardrobe whether there's a naked woman who could be setting him up for failure. And I think some of the guys here need to do that. Wow. I mean, can you imagine a man who was so keen with his reputation? But while reputation is what people think about us, character is who we really are. Who we are, what we do when we think no one is watching us. A life of character is a life of integrity, derived from the mathematical term integer, meaning wholeness, meaning one. Life is not compactorized. It's not into compartments, different faces to different audiences. It is predictable. Integrity doesn't mean holiness. Integrity means the promise you're giving, your stated values and your lived values are the same. Manu Chadelia died, don't share the same faith. Integrity for him doesn't necessarily mean my standards of holiness, and my standards of holiness are not his standards of holiness. It means if he promises to give us mabati, iron sheets that are not leaking, can he always consistently give me those iron sheets? Because he hasn't promised me that he's going to be giving me Bible verses. That's not the promise he has given me. Are you with me? Yes. Integrity is a question. Is there a disconnect between your stated values and your lived values? Are you the same person? Or are you a pastor in Isiri and a hooligan in Karen? You know, Nairobi is an interesting city. People have different faces. The issue is you're the same face to everyone. That's what I'm calling character. Why am I concerned with this? This is the reason. Your gift is indestructible. The enemy cannot touch it. So the enemy can only focus on your character. No man can climb beyond his own character. Failure to take your own character leads to self-destruction like Samson of old. Because God does not take away our gifts. So if you do not take care of your character, because if the enemy cannot attack the gift, then he will capitalize on destroying the character of the gift carrier. So here is the deal. If you do not take care of your character, then your gift will come to a sudden halt. An emergency halt. And you'll not be able to carry on the purpose for which that gift was given. You've got to decide how you will work out your character, because character is a composite of your daily habits. Because habits are so daily, often than not unconscious patterns in our lives, they often bring out and express our character. In the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. It is Thomas Jefferson who prayed, "Oh God, grant us that our principal men shall be men of principle, while men of wealth are envied, men of power are feared, men of genius are admired, only men of character are trusted." People will listen to you, but they'll only do business with you if they trust you. The second thought I want to share with you right now is sacrifice, about price. The second thought about gift price is sacrifice. The Lord Jesus taught, "The greatest among you shall be the servant of all." Maybe there are many interpretations to this scripture. I want to give you a unique interpretation. The greatest among you shall be the servant of all. You will be awake when others are asleep. The greater your gift service, the greater the sacrifice. You'll be serving the others. You'll be preparing when others are just asleep. And the real question I want to ask you, do you have an emotional attachment with your gadgets, TV, social media, phone? And you still expect your gift to shine? You are lost. The two are mutually exclusive. Every gift has a thorn. You can't be addicted to these gadgets and expect to move your gift to the next level. The worst thing that these gadgets do is not even the behavior they promote, like rumamogarin and idleness. The worst behavior TV and social media does is the behavior they prohibit. That's the greatest danger. What do they prohibit? Your personal quality quiet time, your family time. If you ever get a chance to talk to my message, she will tell you this. An average day like today, my phone has been on a maximum of 40 minutes. You can't work out your gift and be addicted to your phone. Not because I'm speaking today. You can check me out any day of the week. The same story with TV. Many of you listening to me here today, you listen to 7 o'clock news. 9 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news, as though there's an exam tomorrow based on news. Why do you want to memorize the story of Uhuru and Raila? Don't you have better notes? Is there a better way of catching up with notes for 15 minutes and pack them? You know, Isaac Newton and his colleagues were sent home in 1665 when a plague hit Cambridge. He immersed himself deeply into books, emerging as the father of classic mechanics and modern calculus, regarded by many as the greatest scientist of all time. What a lot of people do not know is this. He worked almost 24/7, suffering twice nervous breakdown. And it is widely believed, don't quote me here, he died a virgin. And I'm not suggesting you must be a virgin for your gift to succeed. But I do know the greatest apostle that ever lived was celibate, the Apostle Paul. The greatest gift of all times, Jesus Christ, Isaiah, looking at him in the lens of prophecy, had this to say. He was a man acquainted with grief and sorrows. If you are just a bash dude, your gift will never shine. No, the two don't work together. I'm telling you this, masters suffer the most. Anyone who masters his craft, they suffer the most. That's the line between a great message and an ordinary message. A great song and an ordinary song. A great innovation and an ordinary shop. Jack Ma was saying the other day in an entrepreneurial conference, do it when there are no regulations in government. If the government has already said they have given you the go-ahead, you've already lost it. If you're going to succeed, get ahead of that government, get ahead of everyone else. When everybody is talking about it, you already lost. He is a man who completely immersed himself into what he believed. And there's the truth about Mark Zuckerberg. I study these guys. I spend my whole life studying these people. If only we're not finishing at 8 o'clock, I would transact business about many of them. But there is no greatness without a great sacrifice. The third thought, composure. Composure. From the word composed. Let me bring to your attention, the same people who celebrate you will begin to castigate you. You'll get a backlash from the people you sacrificed your life for. Don't lose your cool. Don't lose your calm. One single act made the man of God, Moses, miss the land of promise. For the love of God, he broke the tablets. He couldn't hold himself any longer, but he was judged. I urge you today, you must never lose your cool. Every time you say you don't want trouble, these guys are troublesome. You don't want pain. You are simply saying you don't want promotion. Promotion is the factor of your ability to bear pain. The reason they pay CEOs more than the other people is so that you can deal with more problems. They don't pay you more so that you're served a cup of tea on a red carpet. They pay you more to deal with more problems. Remember, nobody's paid more because they have more qualifications. No. You're paid more to deal with higher problems. Promotion is your ability to bear pain. Every time you complain you can't take it anymore, you're simply saying you don't want promotion. You can't admire the glory of the gift and not the pain of the gift. You must maintain your composure. You must maintain your cool. I was flying from Boston to Virginia last December for my very first time on the runway to be told we are not going to fly. You know, that's a very scary thing. You're on the runway, you've gained momentum, and the captain suddenly says we've got to halt the plane. I was alone. I was not with my family. They were in California. They joined me in Virginia. It was very snowy. And then he said there's some signals we are losing. So we halted. But after some time, they were able to get the signal. And we got up there. It was very dark. It was -3 degrees on the Celsius. You know, in the US, they work with the Fahrenheit. I was still checking on the Celsius. But then I was sitting next to the window, and it was very, very dark. Very dark. But I noticed something. Even through thick turbulences, in the midst of heavy darkness and storms, the pilots don't stop. They keep the headwind and the engines running. And this is what I'll tell you. When you come across bumpy roads and stormy weather, keep the engines and the heading running. Spread your wings of victory and keep pressing. You must not stop. You must move on. And I've tried to epitomize this. You remember when we had what was called the landmark ruling here in Kenya? That particular day we had our meeting right here when I was teaching about born a leader. And some people, including a senior military leader, told me it is not appropriate for us to do a meeting on that material day. I refused. As the captain of the ship, as the gift carrier, as the vision bearer, keep your head in. Keep going. When your gift manifests and reaches the public limelight, let me tell you this. The same audience you serve will start making some demands. They'll begin watching where your children go to school. They will start checking the restaurants you patron. They will start checking where you buy your clothes. They will start checking the car you drive. And believe me, friends, even if you bought the latest Ferrari, they will begin to demand you buy a personal jet. And then, once you buy a jet, you begin dealing with another class of jets. That's the time you realize even jets have classes. You will never satisfy the restaurant's audience around you. Don't kill yourself trying to be a celeb. While celeb makes headlines, legendaries make history. Legendary status come to those least looking for it. Don't be attention-seeking. Be intentional. I'll close by telling you this. I once bought someone very close to me a gift. She didn't use it to the best of my observation. I bought her another gift, and she didn't use it. I got discouraged, and I stopped buying her gifts. For the record, this is not my mercy. When I buy someone a gift, I get excited to see them unwrap the gift. But I get more elated when I see them use the gift. That's what gives me joy. When you use your God-given gifts, you open doors for your gifts to flourish. Now, I want to make a distinguishing factor between a talent and a gift. Both of them are given by God, and many times we confuse between the two. Because they're both God-given. Mark you, they're both God-given. But talents are inherent. In other words, God gives us talents genetically. He passes talents to us through our parents, through our lineage. Gifts, on the other hand, are supernatural endowments for a divine mission. God gives us directly. It has nothing to do with your genetic makeup. What I'm doing, there is nobody to the best of my knowledge in my whole history up to Adam who has ever done it. Believe me, some of my people, some of my relatives were very educated. For example, my grandfather was very educated. He never went to nursery school. Forget about primary school. He never reached nursery school. So you can imagine him in public speaking. He didn't know how to read any language, including his local dialect. So my lineage has no history of this public speaking story. That's a God-given assignment. It's called a gift. Now, here's the deal. Now, if you don't use a talent, you lose. Because everything God gives you through the nature, through the natural means, has to operate under the natural laws. And one natural law is simple. What you don't lose, you lose. If you sleep in bed for 2 weeks in a row, you require physical therapy in order to learn how to walk again. If you fold your hands like this for 2 good weeks, you lose your hands. You still have your legs if you're walking. Whatever you don't use, you lose. When I was in Form 3, we used to call it Lamarckism, from a guy called Lamarck. I'm not a biologist, but I remember that guy. So if you don't even exercise physically, you become weaker. In fact, if you eat too much food, 3-4 plates, your appetite grows bigger. And you start blaming the genes. You trained your stomach. You can reverse it the same way you acquired. Begin reducing a bit, and then you realize you didn't have fat genes. You just had a fat appetite. That's true. Now, this is the parable of the talents. The guy who had 1 talent and didn't use, it was taken away and given to the guy who had 10 talents. So matters talent. Whatever you don't use, you lose. For example, running is a talent. But believe me, one day we're going to the UK with Mercy. And these are Brits led by, what do you call this guy who runs 3,000 meters? Keboy. We're with him. We flew together with this guy. And I had the privilege of asking the team a few questions. And this is what shocked me. I asked them, is it true that you run every day? I asked a lady, I don't remember her name. She was presenting in Kenya. I asked her, is it true that you people practice every day? Fortunately, she has been following me on social media. She told me, Daktari, that's not true. I don't practice every day. I practice twice a day. I woke up at 4 and run in the morning, and then I run again at 4 p.m. For like 2-3 kilometers? No, I practice 21 kilometers. Twice a day? Yes. Think about that price. And you're just here clapping for them. So here's the deal. Is she talented? Yes. But if she doesn't practice like that, she will lose. Because there's another talented guy in Ethiopia. There's another talented guy in Jamaica. So it has to go beyond talent. If you don't use that talent, even though you're a natural athlete, you will lose it. Now, not so with gifts. I want you to mark this. Not so with gifts. God's gifts are without repentance. They're irrevocable. You don't lose them. So what happens to gifts? They waste away. So when you don't use a talent, God takes it away from you and gives the person using it. I believe I have some of your talents. I believe with all my heart. I believe there's some speakers here. God gave me your talent. But if you don't use a gift, it begins to waste away. Because God does not operate like us. When I was a little kid, I could give somebody a gift, and especially my sister Jennifer, and by evening I changed my mind and I take away my gift. That's the difference between God and us. He doesn't take us back. There's a word in Hebrew, kwerishokwa. There's a word, it's like taking back. I'm trying. Oh, you got it. It's like taking back. God doesn't do that. He doesn't take it back. Here's the deal. But if you don't use, you lose. I asked you a question I've asked you before. What would happen if you lock a lion at the orphanage for 6 weeks and begin feeding him there for 6 weeks, 6 months, sorry, and then you release him back to the jungle? He will die. Why? You've destroyed his resourcefulness. You treat a human being the same way and you destroy his resourcefulness or her resourcefulness. You treat a gift in the same manner, you get the same results. If you don't utilize your gift, eventually you'll not have it. I close with some good news. The good news is this. You can rehabilitate the animal back into the national park. It has been done before. And I tell you this, you can rehabilitate your gift back. You can reactivate a gift. How, you may ask me? By reversing the same process in which you began wasting it away. How did you waste it away? You lacked discipline in your work. So you begin to live a life of discipline. You don't give your working hours to anyone who comes your way. You allowed fear to dominate you and what others will say about you. You refused to listen to them and perform to the audience of one. You postponed what you are meant to do today for another day. You stopped procrastinating and do it now. You compared yourself with other stars and you got scared. You stop comparing yourself with others and compare yourself against your previous self. You allow discouraging remarks to destroy you and other people's opinions. You dwelt on your past mistakes and you allow them to define you. Or even your past success and you kept thinking about a degree you acquired 10 years ago. There are people who brag how they got married 20 years ago, but they can't tell you the investment they are making on a day-to-day basis. If you reverse these things, you can reactivate your gift. The good news is this. The Father's arms are open, waiting for you, just like the prodigal son. Don't waste your life away. Don't waste your gift away. Thank you, and God bless you.